Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Join League season number 3, the Asian Division 1, Kingdom vs Insidious Idol in a 2-game series. We of course are HeflaTV, I'm Coucher, and once again I am joined by Blackadder.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be going straight into second series of the day. We've got Kingdom up against Insidious Idol. And, well, we've seen Insidious Idol pick some interesting drafts so far today, and I'm wondering what they're going to give us for this series.
I'm hoping for some more of Tusk. Although I'm hoping for Tusk, Meepo, Dazzle, Tri-Lane.
Tusk, Meepo, Dazzle, Tri-Lane. That's quite the Tri-Lane. I can understand where it's going, considering you've got a Tusk and Snowball. More Meepos faster the Snowball, but still, that might be a little too far on the side of insanity of an Orthodox, but still from where we sit. Kingdom, they ban out the Death Prophet, the Faceless Void. We've got Insidious Idol, banning out the Lycanthrope and the Viper.
So 100% standard, nothing too surprising. I guess Viper ban, you don't see it maybe that often, but it's still banned or picked throughout the entire draft, so it hardly ever gets ignored. Insidious Idol though, do they start with Razor, Doombringer, or do they just go for something different? I guess Nation Prophet is also up there, but yeah, it's a Doom.
To which I'm expecting a Razor Brewmaster counterpick by Kingdom. At least that's my expectation, unless they really want to give us something unorthodox, and I'm right on the first. Am I right on the second?
Oh, we will see, we will see. I mean, the possibilities are endless almost. I mean, Shadow Shaman definitely a strong hero, possibly a Skywrath Mage as well if they want to. Are there any cores we have completely overlooked? I guess something like a Tide Hunter wouldn't be too bad, but they go for a Batrider instead.
Batrider's still a very good hero. Sure, it doesn't have the AoE potential of, say, a Brewmaster, but you cannot underestimate it, and it's an easy one for snapping up that Doom, should they be able to initiate onto him.
Yeah, it's actually a really good way of dealing with a Doombringer. Just get him out of the fight before he gets his ultimate off. Of course, Kingdom, I'm rather expecting for them to go for a Skywrath Mage now as well to follow up. Unless it, of course, gets banned, but just lasso into the Mystic Flare is an easy setup.
Well, it's going to be the Skywrath Mage to pair with this one. I was partly expecting maybe a Shadow Shaman just for the threat of the Mass Serpent Ward push, but from where we sit, it's going to be quite interesting, I think, going into the second series. They're going to take out the Shadow Shaman immediately, completely understand that one. I'm expecting a ban on the potential of a Clockwork, actually, because you've got your Doom for the potential safe lane. Clockwork in the off lane, Skywrath Mage pairs very well with it just because of Cogs and Mystic Flare. You've got to remember, as a Clockwork, that's a pretty good hero up against the Batrider. The other hero that I might expect here is the Shadow Shaman, just for the sheer ability to disrupt the target that gets gripped or the Batrider himself.
I mean, Shadow Demon wouldn't be too bad, I guess, but I mean, a Clockwork, it can work, but Batrider, of course, just Firefly and fly over the Cogs. That's probably the biggest downside.
True, it's more the ability to hit him at long range and stop him getting away. The stun of the battery assault plus the stun of the hook shot itself are to lock down that Batrider, because the lasso does not last long at all if you think about it.
It's definitely not the longest ones, considering you can't do too much of anything at the same time. Yes, you can move him, but well, we'll see what they want to pair it up with. As Insidious Idols, they actually banned out an Earthshaker, whereas we were taken out by Kingdom, so maybe Kingdom aren't planning to go for any additional lockdown anymore.
It's a possibility, but I doubt it. I still see things like the Earthshaker and the Tide in the pool, and Earthshaker and Tide we all know to be very scary. But nonetheless, there are options here for Kingdom, and they've got their Batrider for their potential mid lane or put him in the jungle/off lane. They've got a Razor who can go safe lane or mid. I'm looking for maybe a Witch Doctor and a Dazzle.
Man, I wouldn't mind either one. Both are fun heroes for me to watch. As for mid laners, the Brewmaster is still also available if they want to run that mid lane. Can even be safe lane farming if necessary. Of course, Doom can counter a Brewmaster somewhat, but for that the Doombringer actually has to get close to the Brewmaster or close enough. So it's definitely, it's not like you're not going to pick a Brewmaster just because the enemy has Doombringer.
I'll completely agree with that. I mean, the Brewmaster's still very good, but it's not just the Doombringer, it's the Skywrath Mage as well. Both of them can get him when he blinks in. be it with Ancient Seal, or be it with Doom.
Yeah, that's actually true enough. The Sky of Mages, actually, in a sense, more of a threat, just because you can instantly Ancient Seal when he comes in. But Wraith King to pick for Kingdom can be a core, can be a support. Only time will tell. Just it's always nice to have the flexibility in your draft.
I'd completely agree. Flexibility is one of the best things. It doesn't give too much away, and it'll be the Wraith King, as you mentioned. So, looking just for that big Wraithfire Blast initiation stun, then literally going to be positional dying with the reincarnation. So, just looking for the ability to brawl, and I like the Wraith King pickup. He's a very powerful support. Hell, he's a very powerful all-role hero.
Yeah, he is pretty damn strong all in all. The Wraithfire Blast is one of the better stuns in the games, especially because it's only on an 8-second cooldown as well on top of it. But in Serious Idols now, I hope they're just gonna get some form of setup for the Sky of Mage. May it be maybe even a Centaur for the offlane if they want to run Doom safe lane.
A Centaur could work, yes, and I do like the Centaur and the Doom as a combination, but equally, Doom could go safe lane, you put the Centaur in the off lane, Skywrath to support the Doom, then we're looking for a mid laner, and a mid laner that can team fight very well, and I like, I like the Warlock, but the Warlock does make some sense in this draft.
I mean, Warlock wouldn't be too bad, I guess, yeah. The Upheaval, always a great ability, more or less. But I guess an Invoker is a possibility if they want to go for one. OD maybe wouldn't be too horrible. Although Razor, of course, does counter OD to some extent. Although last time I think we saw that matchup, the Razor actually didn't max Unstable Current, still went for the Plasma Field.
Yeah, pretty much. It was, I want to say, Insidious Idols up against Titan, because it was a Mushi OD, I want to say.
Yeah, that's how I remember it as well, at least, or maybe. Well, I think so. Well, it was in the Mineski Pro Gaming League in any case, but a Venomancer pick up once again for Insidious, and they are in love with that hero.
Yeah, they are. The Venomancer has been so popular lately, and honestly, I think it's a bit of unwarranted popularity. I mean, sure, you do get a good amount of power out of the push, but I don't feel like it does enough early enough. I mean, Venomancer as a core, you need to get an Agnims, I have Veil of Discord, there's the Invoker you called, and it's more a case of, as a support, he could at least get a few things done. He'd mainly be there for the Gale, for a little bit of damage over time, but there are some supports that just work better. Say the Witch Doctor has a better stun, has Maledict, which is one hell of a dot. Throw on top of that Death Ward. Sure, Poison Over's nice, but Death Ward is more proactive in the fight.
I mean, I thought, or actually, I would have thought that Insidious Idol picked up the Venomancer to go into the mid lane up against Razor, because he does fairly well with the Plague Wards there. And now with Kingdom picking up an Invoker, it might change things up a little bit. Although I still think Venomancer more likely than not will go for the same role, and I think the biggest strength of a Venomancer actually is just the Plague Wards giving vision, especially up against Batrider, just to make sure you can always have tabs on the Batrider. Maybe even disrupt the Blink Daggers with the Plague Wards or something, but a Tinker pick for Insidious Idol, man, the cancer has begun.
2 days we've had no Tinker, and I was thinking maybe we had escaped the nightmare, but no. Just when we thought we got out, he pulled us back in.
To be honest, how good do you think the Tinker actually is? I mean, Batrider, I think, is one of the better heroes to deal with the Tinker.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree completely. The Batrider can deal with the Tinker, and to an extent so can the Wraith King. He comes forward, gets that Wraithfire Blast. If he dies to the Tinker, he slows him. Reincarnation. You've also got Invoker, Tornado, EMP, potentially, if he goes for the Wex build. I'm not sure Tinker's the right choice here, but
Especially
that's just my gut.
They have nothing to actually safeguard the Tinker at the moment. Venomancer can't do much of anything, neither can the Sky of Mage. Doom, yes, maybe can come in front and doom somebody up so there won't be additional stuns into the Tinker, but I just don't see a huge amount of synergy for that team, for the Tinker.
I'm in complete agreement with you there. As I say, I'm not sure the Tinker's the right choice here, and who would play the Tinker for Insidious? I don't think I've seen Insidious handle a Tinker before.
I can't recall one or any game off the top of my head, but I guess Ysera, being their mid lane player, probably will take it.
Most likely, yeah, I suppose it's a case of that, but generally some teams have a Tinker player who's not the traditional mid. We still, however, get a Jakiro ban out by Kingdom, and From here on in, what could we potentially be looking for? I mean, you've got your Invoker, you've got your Wraith King, you've got your Batrider and your Razor. Witch Doctor, maybe?
I mean, well, it would have been possible, but banned out by Insidious Idol instead, so Kingdom, they're gonna have to come up with something else. Dazzle I still wouldn't mind. They already have a pretty solid amount of just disable Batrider, Ray Fire Blast as well as Invoker if anything, but Kingdom, they go for an IO instead now. And Wraith King, IO supports with, I mean, IO Razor. Razor is ridiculously fast as it is, but wow.
Oh, yes. Insidious like the Zeus. He's back. It's a Shagasaurus Zeus again. So we got Zeus Skywrath on the field once more, and it's Zeus Skywrath, which is the combination they like. We're in a game where it's going to be fight heavy again. Zeus is almost always a fight heavy hero.
Yeah, it definitely is. And actually, well, support Zeus it's gonna be, but once you get up to like level 7, this IO is not gonna have a fun time, and I just expect him to be bursted every time.
I am in complete agreement. He will be the focus of this game. He needs to be bursted. But I will point out, last time we saw the Zeus, it was up against that Batrider, and the Batrider just couldn't initiate on the Zeus because of the positioning coming out of Insidious Idol. Is this going to be the same case? Is it going to be everyone protects the Zeus when it comes to the team fights? Because the Zeus, as I pointed out before, is a damage engine. You can get 4 spells out in 3 seconds, quite easily. And then you've got to consider his passive as well. That's another 44% of enemies' maximum HP of damage around him. This could be absolutely huge. But nonetheless, I believe we have some teams to introduce.
Indeed we do. As for Insidious Idol, for their second series of the day, Insidious C, playing the Doombringer, leaving Shagasaurus on the Zeus with Viscera, playing a Core Venomancer, Bethel on a Tinker, and the last one will be C-Red on the Skywrath Mage.
And on the flip side of this coin, for Kingdom, we've got Draken on the IO. On the Wraith King, we have Fruits. Over on the Batrider, we have 2D. On the Invoker, handling in the mid lane, we've got Desolé. And on the Razor, Smashy.
And surprise, surprise, support IO, support Wraith King. I guess they really couldn't have gone any other way with this anyway. But they are clearing up some trees in the jungle at the moment, just to make it so that IO can stack 2 camps at the same time. So they are already preparing to help out 2D if necessary.
I actually got to say I like this support combination because of heroes that work very well with IO. I mean, you've got things like the Tiny, the Chaos Knight. Thing is, both these heroes have stuns. Now you're going to be running IO Wraith King. This actually is pretty good. For the most part. I mean, you relocate in, you drop a good stun, you start dealing some damage, potential for crit as well. You can kill a person very quickly with that support combination.
Yeah, it is pretty damn strong. I mean, even if the Wraith King gets a pretty nice amount of farm and transitions into a semi-carry of sorts, IO is actually one of the better supports to help him. Since usually Wraith King's biggest weakness is just his mobility, but with the tether, he's gonna have plenty of it.
And the lanes are slightly different to what we predicted. We got Ysera in that mid lane handled by handling the Venomancer, and then over in the safe lane we have Bethel who will be farming the Tinker. So this is a one-roll Tinker instead of a mid-Tinker, and that'll leave Insidious in the jungle on a Jungle Doom, which I'm not sure I like too much, but that does put a Zeus off lane. Now this could be very risky, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Invis rune on Fruits at the moment, but Chagasaurus, he's playing it rather safe. I actually don't think they saw the Invis rune getting picked up, but Fruits, yeah, he's just gonna harass a little bit, and man, Zeus, 1 base armor, crappy movement speed. What on hell, what the hell were they thinking, like?
I am not sure. I mean, he's not a hero you would generally consider the offlane. He's got less than 300 base speed. Sure, he's got that ward to get some vision, but it does not matter. He goes out of position against this lineup, he dies, hands down. Sure, he can get CS from a decent range with Arc Lightning, and you can see he's spamming it there, but the downside of Arc Lightning is it does push the lane if it's used like that.
Well, I guess they know best. They must have tried this before, I would think, at least. It's definitely not something you see. I mean, not even every day. It's something you never see.
No, you never see this Zeus off lane, but if he plays very defensive and just comes forward with the Arc Lightning, that could work, and equally I think he is responsible for stacking the Ancients, or what's he up to here? He's just lurking in the side shop for now, but I'm unsure. I feel much more confident in Online Kingdoms draft, or Kingdoms draft, considering how we stand with it. They've got the Wisp in the jungle with the Wraith King potentially rotating around as well, and this is just being stacked up by Draken repeatedly. And these stacks are going to be absolutely huge and key for the Bat Rider. He's going to come in and help himself with these nice, tasty stacks should he need the extra gold.
Oh man, this Doombringer, he went so damn low in the jungle at the moment. But yeah, I have no idea, Shagasaurus. Not going for the stacks at the moment, just picked up a double damage rune and that's it, more or less. You definitely want to stack, like you mentioned, just Tinker, get the faster boost of travels, or... Well, he's gonna get those fast enough anyway from the safe lane farm, I think, but even then, just get the Blink Dagger afterwards. The more farm, the better. I mean, I don't think anybody will ever complain about having too much farm in Dota.
No, I'll completely agree on that one. Just don't want to get pushed too hard when you're farming when on other lanes. It's the one threat of it, really. And as I stand right now, it's about that time where I have to turn around and ask you, who are you going to bet on?
Well, I think Kingdom, and I hope Kingdom just because I dislike Tinker heavily.
I'll agree with you there. I mean, you tend to say it's a little unfun when the casters agree, but I like Kingdom's draft better, and you know I have a great hatred for Tinker.
Plus, like you already mentioned before as well, it's just the laning from Kingdom coming out as well is a little bit safer, and I think it just has the potential to accomplish a little bit more. Shagasaurus, he's at least level 3, so actually not doing all that bad with him, just semi-jungling and whatnot. And I am extremely surprised that Fruits, together with Drakan, just aren't rotating around to get kills in the mid lane, for example, because it's not like they have anybody to kill on their off lane at the moment, or on their safe lane rather.
I'm in complete agreement there. I mean, they've got level 3 now on Fruits, so that could have been what they were waiting for. I believe he's got a point in stats here. He's got 1 in stats, 2 in Wraithfire. So now they've got this. Do they have a smoke delivered? I believe they do, yes they do. So we're looking for that mid gank now, and this is still a level 1 Wisp, which is going to be a problem. The sooner they have the relocate, the better on Draken, but it's going to be a case of it. They need to hunt and kill. They're going to go on straight Ysera, but he picked up that haste rune, so this is going to be a case the Venomancer is going to be able to turn this around. The Lightning Strike comes in from Shagasaurus and then Zeus as well, and First Blood goes the way of Ysera on the Venomancer. This is the worst possible fight they could take when Venomancer got himself a haste rune. He's going to look for the double kill. Sunstrike's going to drop, but is it enough? No, it is not. It doesn't connect anywhere near at all. And equally, though, Fruits were at that one very close to death.
Yeah, I mean, it would have gone 100% the other way around, I think, if Kingdom were the ones to actually get towards the haste rune first. So, Ysera, a little bit lucking out that he actually managed to pick it up before. And of course, nice rotations at the same time from Shagasaurus, so he's just gonna hit level 4 from this as well when the creeps die here. And this was not looking too bad. I mean, he's not getting the craziest amount of farm, but if he would have been in the pure support role, it's not like he would have done any better. And Doombringer getting a solid amount as well in the meantime. So for Insidious, it's definitely going decently. Maybe not as well as they had hoped for, but I mean, getting the First Blood definitely just boosts their morale.
I'd completely agree. I mean, the First Blood certainly helps them out, and also the Zeus was there to share in that experience, which is a big thing, considering he's now level 4 on that offlane at 5 minutes. And an offlane Zeus, we both said that this is unorthodox to the extreme end of unorthodox. And he's almost got his arcanes to boot, so he's not doing bad by any stretch of the imagination. He's stacking up the ancients as well for the Tinker. So the Tinker's going to find himself a load of extra gold soon, and that'll be his travels. Equally though, bottom lane, 2D could potentially go down, but it'll force them to run through the fire if they want to do that, and I don't think Bethel quite wants to risk that, so it'll be a case of TP away by 2D, and he's going to be safe back in the base.
Yeah, 2D went extremely aggressive there. He didn't even have too many sticky napalm stacks on anybody, as, whoa, Seared, he was actually trying to chase him down by the end of it, but he managed to survive the battle out of this thanks to his Magic Stick charges. Otherwise, he would have gone down 100%, but of course, man, Magic Stick, one of the best items in the game, especially if you're up against a Skywrath Mage, which is spam, spam, spam.
Pretty much the same as a Bat Rider. You get a Magic Stick against a Bat Rider or a Bristleback. It's one of the best items in the game. It just adds stacks so quickly.
That is 100% true indeed, but looking at the other matchups, mid lane Desolé, he did go for that Exhort as I guess most Invokers do. He is 38 and 18 compared to actually a 24 and 2 Ysera. Did grab the First Blood for himself, so getting some extra gold income from there, but other than that Invoker, he is rather just crushing this mid matchup, at least as far as last hits go.
I will completely agree, but one thing that I am slightly concerned about here for Kingdom, for example, their supports are levels 3 and 2 respectively, versus the Skywrath Mage, who's level 4, and then you've got the Jungle Doom, who is already level 5, nearing level 6. It's a big problem, and now we're going to go off the back of the Smoke Gang. They're going to wait out the march of the machines, and they could potentially go for the Tinker. If they kill Tinker, that's huge, and 2D's making himself look like tasty bait right now. He's half health. So it's a case of, does Bethel want to hang around? But the supports are missing. They know the supports are missing. Where are those supports going to come from is what they're thinking.
Well, looks like Insidious, they're just staying far enough back. Of course, they pulled that amount as well. It's only a single pull, but it's buying enough time to possibly outlast the smoke, maybe. And
possibly. I mean, the smoke has worn off, but I'm looking for a potential initiation still. And now we get the Hands of Midas come online. One for the Invoker and one for the Doom.
Yeah, it's funny enough that they actually got it at exactly the same times, more or less. But at the moment, I think the biggest weakness for Kingdom will be the supports. They are so under level, especially Drakan on the IO. IO, you want that fast level 6, want the relocate ganks to start. And I did not expect not a single kill to come out from them. I mean, we're already 8 minutes in. I'm just hoping that we will pick up speed. We already had one game today where the action was almost non-existent.
I think we're going to have some action, mainly for two reasons. One, you're starting to get items online for Kingdom. You've got that mechanism, but more importantly, Shagasaurus has his arcanes, and he's nearly got level 6 on that Zeus.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely a huge boost in action, I think. Zeus, he just wants to fight it. If you don't use him early on, he will fall off later. Yes, his passive will still be good since people tank up and percentage-based damage is always great. But also, Boots of Travel is actually finished now for Bethel on the Tinker. Excellent farm for him. Tweedy, does he have a couple of stacks to farm? Yes, he does if he wants to. How close is he? Well, 1,200 away still from that Blink Dagger, but he is completely free in this bottom lane. Fruits, together with Drakan, they are still hanging around, getting absolutely nothing accomplished.
But now look on the top lane, you've got Insidious and Z-Red lurking to come up here, equally Tinker TPing in with those travels. And this is the start of their push. They're going to drop the Zeus ult and they don't find anyone. They were thinking, oh, there's got to be someone here, but nope, they TP'd out. So it's a case of Thunder God's Wrath used for nothing, and a siege coming on this bottom lane from Kingdom. They're going to start cracking on this tier 1. It's going to be a potential trade in the meantime. You've got the rest of Insidious Idol's top lane looking to push the top, so it could be a 1-for-1 trade tower-wise.
Yeah, Isera trying to do something in the mid lane as well, but actually draws tower aggro at the moment. He has a couple of tangles, 2 bottle charges, so he's just gonna be fine. But with the double damage rune, if Desolé isn't too careful, he actually might die here if this Venom Scale connects now.
Yeah, if the Venom Scale goes down, this could certainly be a good kill for Ysera with that TD, but honestly, look how defensive Desolé is playing. He does not want to risk being caught. I mean, he's got the double Forge Spirit as well. It's going to be a very hard one to deal with, and it is a 1-for-1 tower trade at the end of the day.
Yeah, and actually Kingdom, they were even a little bit faster with their own push there. And I can only imagine when the Invoker joins in on the fun as well, it's just going to speed up even more. But Z-Red with Insidious, they're on the hunt, they might find 2 Jess, he's farming out of stacks. Slow is there, but I think he's going to get to the low ground.
But in comes the Doom. That's going to do a good amount of work, especially plus the Arcane Bolt. They need to deny 2D, but he's going a little far away. And now we've got a pretty deep dive. Insidious will clean up the IO, but the Sunstrike does come down and finish off the Doombringer in exchange. Does 2D die to the Doom? No, he does not. He's still alive. And in the meantime, Z-Red going to get focused here by Fruits. Fruits still alive and fighting. That's a 3-for-0 trade at the end of the day. That's a pretty huge advantage going the way of Kingdom. Especially considering the Wraith King was involved on all of those. He's got his level 5 now. He's going to be looking for his level 6, and then we're just looking for an absolute brawl.
Yeah, they did get the kill onto the IO, I think it was. So Drakan, he did die, but that's definitely not too big of a sacrifice considering they got 3 kills in return. And not only that, Fruits, he's suddenly level 5 on the Wraith King now. So getting some very much needed XP. Unfortunately, IO did die, so he didn't get the XP, but a worthwhile trade, and 2D surviving all of it as well. Just that small extra movement speed coming out from Drakan Steller just to make sure that 2D doesn't take an additional Arcane Bolt. That saved his life.
I'll completely agree with that. The Arcane Bolt, if he didn't get that second one off, it would have been all over. But the ability for 2D to survive that, he managed to come back and get an experience range. He has his dagger now, so we're looking for potential for initiation out of Kingdom. And if Kingdom can grab, say, Ysera, this could be huge. And we do have a threat lurking nearby, but there are supports backing him up in the form of Z-Red and the offlane Zeus, Shagasaurus, who has Thunder God's Wrath ready to go, I'll point out. So he could be looking for a fight here in the mid lane any second. And in comes the Batrider. He will grab Ysera, but in comes the combination. He just takes so much damage. Arcane Bolt does a lot, but Ysera can't get any spells off. One more Arcane Bolt to finish off the Batrider, and he will fall down. But in the meantime, Desolate could potentially fall to the Zeus. The Chain Lightning, it doesn't do anywhere near enough. He survives on less than 20 health, and now the Zeus is now the Invoker's starting to regen up with that Quas.
Oh man, that was a decent enough trade. A core for core Venomancer for a Batrider at the moment. Of course, Thunder God's Wrath was also used, so I guess they expended a little bit more resources. But Invoker still farming up pretty damn well, and I mean, last hit wise, actually, I didn't even think about it before, but they are not true. I mean, yes, he has had 95 last hits, but actually a huge amount of those have just been the Plague Ward kills.
I'll agree to that. A lot of it's Plague Ward kills, but the sheer amount of gold he's got from killing those Plague Wards when they were early levels, that adds up. They're worth 14 a pop, and you can one-shot them at level 1 near enough. It's quite scary. And he does have Forge Spirits as well to help him kill these. I mean, it still gives you a good amount of gold, but now we get the blink in from the Doom. Throws the Doom onto Desolate. Now comes the damage. Thunder God's Wrath, it's still not available, but Mystic Flare is, and Desolate will fall. Equally though, Fruits is on the front line. They lose the Doom in exchange for the Invoker, and from where we stand, that's advantage towards Insidious Idols at this point. Doom used his ultimate. He doesn't need anything else other than that, and the Tinker's still applying the march. They have Thunder God's Wrath in 5 seconds. This could be a kill on Fruits. 3, 2, 1. Thinking about it. Will we see it fly? No, not yet, but Ysera's going to come forward. They force the reincarnation, and now Shagasaurus gets caught out by that Batrider. He's back alive. Now we get the turnaround. They use the Thunder God's Wrath. It brings down the Batrider, but it's a Zeus now for the Bat in exchange. The Doom's now back up, and Ysera will potentially take a fall here, but in comes Bethel, doing work on the back line. Z-Red picks up a few as well, and Fruits will die a second time. So that's at the end of the day a 4-for-2 trade.
Yeah, it's just excellent fight for Insidious Idol and Kingdom. They didn't have enough manpower to just actually go for the Zeus, even once the lasso came out. They didn't have the Invoker still alive by that time, I think, so Sunstrike couldn't really come out in time. And now suddenly Ysera, he has his mech finished on the Venomancer, finds himself a Regen Rune as well, and actually he was so hesitant to go for it since he was expecting a Sunstrike to come. It was really funny to see the Venomancer just dance around the rune, not picking it up, but this fight, it just couldn't have gone too much better for Insidious Idols, I think, considering they also got the tower there.
Yeah, pretty much. The tower being brought down as well, that fight was absolutely insane in favor of Insidious Idols. And I didn't favor Insidious Idols in the draft, mainly because I don't like the Tinker, but if we look at the potential for burst damage they have, it is staggeringly high, and that's a 5,000 gold lead the way of Insidious Idols, equally a 2,000 experience lead. So it is starting to add up for Insidious.
Yeah, it most certainly is, and just look at Shagasaurus. He's going for a straight up Veil of Discord, and between Zeus, as well as the Skywrath Mage, and of course Venomancer, even Tinker, that Veil will be just value.
Veil of Discord is one of the, if not the single best item on Zeus in the game. Same applies to Ysera on the Venomancer as well as Z-Red. This is a perfect item choice, and now they're just going to go aggressive. Blink forward, they're looking for Desolate, but in comes the TPs to defend this one. Wraith King wants to come in and try to get a stun, but in comes the relocate. 2D takes a lot of damage, but Thunder God's Wrath will fly. Will they lose the Invoker? It'll be denied. That's a huge deny, so it's a kill for a deny at this point in favor of Kingdom, and now we see the fight start all over again. It's a possibility, but Shagasaurus continues to rain down Thunderbolts and death. But with the rockets flying through, we need some more off the back of this one. March of the Machines continues to fly. Bethel, though, needs to reload his mana. He's going to have to go back to base. Ysera, though, full mana, ready to go. Keep pushing up this lane with those Plague Wards.
Well, this fight, it was a nice initiation in theory, but it's all well and good. You have the Blink Dagger, but nobody else does, so the team just couldn't follow up in time. They did get the kill on Invoker, or rather, Invoker died. It was denied, so Insidious Idols, actually, they lost more than they gained from that fight, I want to say.
They did. They completely did. They also expended Doom. You're right, the blink in, he just jumped too far ahead of his team. That is a big problem when that occurs, but the other thing they didn't keep in mind was Relocate is available. Relocate is something you can never forget about.
Yeah, it's actually just barely available considering Io is level 6 only at this point in time. But that's all you need, really. Doesn't really matter how much more levels you have, Relocate will do the exact same thing.
Complete agreement there. But what more can we see coming up for Insidious Idols at this point? How close is Zeus to that Veil, I wonder? He's got the Helm of Iron Will. He needs 1,000 gold. Once we have that, we might be looking just for more aggressive push coming out. But Insidious Idols aren't stopping. They want another tier 1, and they're going to start cracking on this bottom lane. And we need some defense rotating, and you've got Fruits here, but he doesn't have Reincarnation for 50 seconds. Equally, the rest of his team is starting to back him up. They don't have... Well, they do have Relocate now. It does come off cooldown, and now comes this potential for push.
Oh, and there's a Dagon pick for Tinker now as well. The burst damage is real, and I fear for Io's life, but not only his, just for everybody's.
I'm in complete agreement, just the sheer burst damage potential, but equally Fruits... Was that a blink I saw on Fruits? No, it was a blink on the Batrider. Batrider's ready to set up for this when he does pop the Firefly in for a illusion, and they have to go now, otherwise Firefly's going to be on cooldown, and the siege is just continuing. They're going to wait out 2D's Firefly, and then they're going to commit to this. Shagasaurus equally is still lurking nearby, and he does have the ability just to drop Thundergod's Wrath and nuke someone. Nuke someone from orbit. Here we go. Here's the fight to start. Smashy takes a Lightning Bolt, and that... They're being a little more defensive than I thought they would be. Sunstrike's going to drop, does crater in onto Insidious, but where is the follow-up? They need more pressure than this, surely, or are they just content with slow sieging?
Well, it looks like it at the moment, because it's not like Kingdom have anybody else farming at the same time, which is a little bit weird. Two of them could be farming away and then just relocate into the fight if need be. But not doing it strikes me a little bit as odd, but they are defending, and in CSI they had enough. Just Bethel going for the other lanes now. It is hard to push in, I guess. We saw Shagasaurus go near to the tower and actually suddenly drop down to like 200 HP or something. So they have to be slightly careful, although I would have thought as well that they're going to commit a little bit more.
It was. I thought it would be inevitable, but it seems we're just more than happy to play the more defensive game. But we still do have the Tinker continuing to push up the lanes. He's keeping this top lane pushed out fairly well, and I'm just waiting for the next big fight, in all honesty. We do have that smoke now up from the lineup of Insidious, and this could be the brawl we're looking for, especially if they take it in the jungle where there's no way for Kingdom to see it coming. I mean, they're going to go in and they're going to try to catch Desolate, but equally blink forward. They can't catch anyone. They instead get the Gale onto Fruits, but Fruits, does he have Reincarnation? Yes, he does. So he'll come back. Doom's now thrown onto Desolate. That's going to keep him out of this fight, but off the Reincarnation, in comes 2D. Grabs Ysera, dragging him back. Thundergod's Wrath to fly through. They need to finish off that Batrider and successfully do so. Laser cleans up the Wraith King as well, so that's perfect. And Desolate still forced out this fight with the Doom. A good few kills here going the way of Insidious at the loss of nothing.
Yeah, just excellent smoke gank coming out from there. Kingdom, they tried to fight. Invoker got the Deafening Blast off as well before getting Doomed, but a Deafening Blast is just not enough at this point. Maybe a Chaos Meteor would have done the job, but Doombringer even survived through all of it, going for a BKB now. Actually has 2 parts of it finished, so just needs the recipe. 19 minutes in, they're just extending their lead even more. It's about 8,000 gold, might update still. Sunstrike, and seriously, oh, he still survives, but 50 HP only.
That was close. That was very, very close. And honestly, Insidious needs to be slightly more careful. Especially on that Doom. Specifically on that Doom. If that Doom falls, that's quite the big kill, but you do have that global presence of the Tinker to keep in mind, and he's just going to keep shunting these lanes with that march.
Yeah, this Tinker is actually 2,000, almost 3,000 net worth ahead of everybody else in this game so far, and whenever that's the case on a Tinker, you know that the enemy team is going to be just in huge amounts of trouble.
Yeah, certainly, and honestly, I'm expecting more out of Insidious. I always try to expect more out of the teams, considering their potential is pretty much as much as the effort they put into a game. And you've got to consider they could have a lot more kills. They have the ability to brawl with that Zeus, with the Skywrath Mage, who also has a large amount of magical damage. Throw onto that the level 2 Poison Nova, and the Venomancer also has the Met, so they have sustain power. Plus the ability to lock out the Invoker with the Doom. I mean, I feel like they can be getting more kills.
Yeah, I think so too, but I guess they're playing it rather safe at the moment, and I mean, going into the late game, it's hard to tell who has a clear advantage, but Kingdom, it's not like they have superior late game, like Morphling, Anti-Mage, what have you, and Tinker, of course, will always have the ability to just blow people up until like maybe 80 minutes in, where people really are that tanky that they can somehow survive it. But just usually when it's E-Blade, take on 5, rearm, a second burst of it, it kills off even targets with Heart of Tarrasque.
Very true. Very, very true. And we are looking potentially for that E-Blade as the next item coming out of that Tinker. I mean, he's got 3,100 gold in the bank. It would make some sense, but the push is starting to come online from Kingdom. But the Razor will eat a couple of rockets for it, and I'm wondering if they're going to see a mass defense on this tier 3. In comes the entire lineup of Insidious. They want to protect their towers, and they do have that haste rune on Ysera as well, so if they really wanted to, they could go for this.
Yeah, but looks like they just came in, defended, and they're actually going for a pipe now as well. So mech pipe. Yes, his health pool isn't all that great, but it's actually rather hard to bring him down once he finishes the pipe completely. Which actually isn't all that far away, to be honest, at this point in time. What other items have or are coming up? Shakasaur is only 10 gold away from his Veil of Discord if he wants to purchase it straight away. Insidious CP can be finished, so they should in theory be ready for fights.
Yep, I completely agree, especially with that Veil recipe about to be flying out to Zeus. But here comes the smoke. They're going to look to start going straight away. They're not going to wait for the recipe to be delivered, and they ping out 2 on the bottom lane. It's the Bat Rider and the Wisp of Draken. But equally, these heroes are going to get sent back to wherever they relocated from. And I believe that was base, wasn't it? No, it was mid lane. They're going to get caught immediately by the smoke wearing off, and down goes the Wisp.
Well, that was an easy kill for them.
Yep, and this is the potential mid-tier 2 push. Specifically now, I believe we have Veil delivered. No, it's on the courier now. That's a full courier. Holy hell, that is a very full courier.
Yeah, too many items to just deliver at the moment, but Ysera, actually, his things got... Did he put them into the stash himself since... I mean, the courier is coming that way anyway, so that must have been a misclick or something since... It's just a Veil recipe coming out without that... Oh, never mind, he doesn't have the full pipe anyway yet, he needs the Ring of Health, so... Okay, that's the reason for it. I thought he has it complete, but nope.
In the meantime, we do have the rockets continuing to be thrown through just as harassment, and the siege is starting on this bottom tier 1 again. But now with Shakasaurus and a Veil of Discord, I feel it's time to fight. They have everything they need. They've now got 25% amplification on top of Ancient Seal. The rockets will keep flying through the tier 1 force. Do we see the push to tier 2? They've just used the mech. Who is lurking nearby? Fruits is here. Doesn't have a blink dagger yet. He's got his reincarnation though. Draken relocates ready in 5. They need the Bat Rider though. What's the Bat doing and where is he? 2D's off to the side. He's got blink force, but you can just see the lineup of Insidious Idols. They're content with just getting a few pickoffs, then moving away.
Yeah, they don't really want to fight too deep just because of 2D, I think. Bat Rider is always a threat. Just get one hero, get him completely out of position and win the fight just because you're 5 versus 4 all of a sudden. Invoker actually has Necro level 3 as well. Still on cooldown for 10 seconds, but I'm rather hoping for Kingdom to just go for Roche. I mean, 4 Spirits plus Necrobooks should be a rather easy and fast one.
4 Spirits, Necrobooks seem to be the next order of business in my mind. I mean, for Kingdom, they can start pushing towers on their own. They've got that Razor starting to come online to his own. He's almost got that full Aghanim Scepter. He's only 600 gold away from the Ags. Once that's online, it's going to be quite a lot of potential for tower damage, but you have to be tanky enough to fight into that. And when you consider who's tankier right now, sure, you've got a Wraith King who's got Reincarnate, but he dies immediately. You don't have a pipe at all on the lineup of Kingdom, I don't think. No, we don't. Whereas, what do we have on Insidious Idols? Veil of Discord to remove any magic resistance. Then they've got a mech and a pipe on their own backs. The uphill struggle here for Kingdom is going to become quite large, and we consider, for Insidious Idols, the 12,000 gold lead and the 5,000 experience lead. This is going to really add up quickly.
Yeah, it most certainly is, and so far, once again a game where would have expected way more action to happen with the heroes we are seeing, but Insidious Idols, they're just playing this methodically, and actually Tinker Bloodstone instead of E-Blade, I guess, to make sure that you can actually survive the lasso initiation if it ever comes.
I suppose if you can survive the lasso initiation, yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. But right now, I'm trying to figure out in my head how Kingdom can approach this next fight. Do they rely on the Razor? I mean, with the pipe, they can't rely on the Razor that much. I mean, they need the combination of spells. Chaos Meteor, Deafening Blast from the Invoker, but they don't really have anything to set it up with. What stun do they have? They've got the Wraith King, and is that enough? I don't believe it is. Sunstroke's going to drop, but it'll miss. Unfortunately, it hits a ward, which doesn't even care. And just the threat of this push continues. Shakasaurus does get a bit of his mana burned by the Necro 3 unit, but it's not enough. And Here we go, 2D in from the side, going to come in, grabs the Venomancer, but brings it back into the middle of the mix. If they bring the Venomancer down, that'll be huge, but in comes Doom, as the Mystic Flare, Thunder God's Wrath to fly as well. Everyone got hit by that Veil of Discord. The only one to die was Fruits, but he's going to come back with that reincarnation. Takes a lot of damage, so it's a Venomancer for nothing off the back of that one. And grabbing the Venomancer was the right idea. If that Venomancer got off the Poison Nova, it would have been all over but for the crying.
Oh wow, this fight, like you said, it was the correct target to lasso up as well. No pipe, no mech, made it so that Insidious idols, yes, they actually don't lose anybody else just because Chaos Meteor, probably the biggest source of Kingdom's damage at the moment, was used to kill Ysera, but they, I mean by they I mean Insidious idols, they almost still got the kill onto Razor, who is rather tanky with a mech of his own and the Aghanim Scepter finished now. But he survived with like 100 HP or something, and Insidious idols, they are just showing that even though Kingdom, if they get initiation, they still can't get a proper fight on top of that, just because they are so far behind in items as well as XP.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I am in 100% complete agreement. Kingdom are suffering right now. And if they can get some towers down, if they can kill the Tinker a few times, they can fight back into it. But that's a very tall order when you consider how active this Tinker has been on the map.
Actually, Desolé himself on the Invoker, having the Necro level 3, now has a BKB as well. He's farming pretty damn good. There was a point in time when Tinker was like 3000 ahead of him almost, but that gap is now halved. It's only 1500. So Invoker doing a pretty good job for his team at least, but everybody else though, they're struggling.
They really are struggling. I mean, you consider what the Batrider's got. He's going for a Blade Mail. You consider the Wraith King, he's got a Blade Mail. Wait, we're not going to see the mass Blade Mail stand in the March, are we?
Well, I guess it is possible. Blade Mail is always a nice item against Tinker. Even against like Venomancer, Zeus, just massive amounts of burst damage, Blade Mail is pretty damn good. But I don't think Tinker cares all that much, just because he has that 1.5k health pool now, thanks to the Bloodstone.
The Bloodstone's going to help him, of course, but part of me wonders, is the Bloodstone the right choice in this one? Because that could have been an E-Blade. And with an E-Blade, they could have just obliterated a target outright. I mean, he's leveling the Dagon over picking up the E-Blade as well, which is something we don't generally see. Usually we see Dagon 1 into the E-Blade, and Zeus is just playing around with his ult. He's just pre-casting it and just cancelling it immediately. It's one of the rougher things to suffer from, just claps per minute.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, doesn't look like Kingdom will get caught though. They're on complete opposite sides of the map. They look to be gearing up for a bottom lane push, or I mean defense that is. Now Thunder God's Wrath just for scouting purposes. It's not that long of a cooldown, a minute and a half, so you can use that just to make sure that you don't actually need to waste any more time just sitting in the trees waiting for somebody to appear.
I'm in complete agreement with that. I mean, it is useful as a scouting tool, but the big problem here is there's a good chunk of their damage. It takes away one of the potential burst spells that Stegosaurus can drop in a team fight, and I would point out repeatedly how powerful that static field is. It's really potent, is the word I'll use. It's really potent in a team fight scenario. The problem being, though, how to phrase this? The problem being, if they lock down Stegosaurus, or Stegosaurus can't spam out his spells, they lose a large potential for the damage. But in the meantime, Kingdom will help themselves to the Roshan, so it'll be a Roshan for a tier 2.
The classic trade.
The classic trade, yeah. But right now, who do Kingdom initiate on is my question. Do they go on Stegosaurus and try to lock him down, or do they let Ysera get off that potential Poison Nova? It's a double-edged sword either way.
Well, to be honest, I think Ysera is the better target, just because if you can make it so that the mech and pipe aren't there, you can actually go for the other kills after that. Otherwise though, you should jump somebody else, and the mech and pipe might actually be enough to save that certain somebody who gets initiated upon. But Veil comes out, just to make sure that they back off a little bit farther. Desolé eats himself a heat-seeking missile, and it's a tier 2 in the end. It did survive for a little bit longer since Kingdom actually came in to try to defend it, but not for too long as Tinker. He has himself a Dagon level 3. Blink Daggers at the same time picked up on Desolé's Invoker. So they have a little bit more mobility at the moment. 2D still holds on to the gem as well. And well, Batrider gem is just a really efficient hero to have it on. He can just D-ward so efficiently, have flying vision with the Oh god, Firefly, of course, Firefly. How could I forget it? And even if he gets into trouble, 4-step should be enough to get him to safety.
It should be enough to get him to safety, I'll completely agree, but the Batrider's got the mobility. If they can catch the Batrider, that's the problem. I mean, Doom is a good on the Batrider as well, but they've been using it majoritively on the Invoker to disable his damage. If they can catch the Bat, that works. Oh, they're teasing the ultimate again with the Zeus. That's got to be one of the most annoying things in the game, by the way, when you ult cancel like that.
Yeah, and just because it still does the sound effect, I was like, what? Fight! No, man. Just blue balls. But Shiva's card finished on Insidious, Cena won the Doombringer, and he can be the legit frontline tank for them. BKB, Shiva's card for the armor. Magical damage, he doesn't care. Physical damage, mostly doesn't care. So, Insidious Idols, they are definitely looking for fights, as you can see from their movements. And they might find somebody, Fruits. Well, not the highest priority target, but a kill nonetheless.
Well, it takes out 2 stuns potentially, considering Fruits will have to be killed twice here with Reincarnation, and always getting that extra stun up once they respawn with Fruits. It's a nice thing to disable in a fight. I mean, putting Reincarnation on cooldown at level 2 is a nice thing as well. That's 160 seconds, so while it's not a priority target, it's still a good target.
Yeah, I mean, literally any kills can just help make it so that Kingdom, they won't even try to defend the tower, for example. Especially considering in CSL, they are grouping up, going for the tier 2 mid lane now. But it might be tier 2 for tier 2. Smashy activated his Hive to Storm as well. It's level 2 with the Aghanim buff. But Tinkers, there are more TPs to come in seriously. They want to go for the kill. Blink, the pipe is activated as well. Before actually they get to do him on Smashy, but where's the follow-up? Nope. They just relocate them out.
Well, that's the problem with dooming the Razor. You get hit by the unstable current and that will force you back. And now, well, that's a pretty optimistic problem for Shivas, but it's a case of you put Smashy back in the base, Wisp will sacrifice his life to protect the Razor. That works in Insidious Idol's favor, at least keeping the Wisp off the battlefield for 30 seconds, and it's a case of Kings go out. They want to take this tier 2. Taking this tier 2 on the bottom lane will help them, and it'll disable the Roshan defense quite heavily for Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, any kills help, to be honest, and Io, he's only level 9 still. It really hasn't been a good game for him. He's 0, 5, and 2 as well. I think we've seen like one good relocate, gank, or just help out to a team fight or something that worked out in their favor. Other than that, Io has been more or less dead weight, although he did save Razors, I guess, so that's always a bonus. As Razor actually going for a BKB, not too far off it as well. Definitely gonna make it so that Kingdom, they can actually stay in fights as well, and yes, it's still a 10-second BKB on Desolé. I don't even know how long he's had it, but that just goes to show how little fighting there is when you're holding on to a 10-second BKB for like 5+ minutes.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. I think that's another case of you and me both expected more aggression. I mean, when you sit in a game with a Zeus and a Doom with Venomancer and Skywrath, you think, let's fight. But they've just toned it down. They're playing surgical Dota. They're playing tactical Dota. They're taking the fights that they know they can win, and they're building off the back of that. And when you consider in the late game, sure, late game you've got potential of a big Invoker, considering he's got BKB, he's got his Necro book, and Boots of Travels even. We're looking for potentially a Sheepstick next on him, and he's going to be near enough 6 slot. Equally, you have the Razor. You've got Aghanims, you've got potential of a Refresher in the future, and in Aegis, sorry, not Aegis, BKB coming up. It's okay for Kingdom, but late game versus a Doom. Late game, very powerful. Especially if it goes hard and gets himself a Alpha Wolf, which he's not got yet. I don't think he's seen one. You've got a Tinker. Burst Damage King. Then you've got Zeus, and we're going to be potentially looking for an Aghanims on him. He's got a 4 stuff now, so he's got mobility. So Aghanims maybe and Refresher if this goes really late on the Zeus, and this is before we count Skywrath Mage. We know how powerful he can be with an Aghanims and a high mana pool, but late game potential, I favour Insidious. Seriously, I do.
Yeah, so do I, and actually Smashy might be in trouble. He doesn't have the BKB yet, it's flying out to him. Can they get the kill before? Take on 5, the mech keeps him alive, but heat-seeking missiles track him down. And man, the BKB, it was on the courier just being delivered out to him.
That's just Sod's Law right there. There's very little he can do when that happens, and that was all off the back of the...
Oh, they're gonna get Io as well. Io, he actually tried to relocate him out, but wow.
Deleted.
That's exactly what happened. Just
That was off the back of a scouting Thunder God's Wrath as well, I'll point out. They were scouting out where the Razor was, and he was just a little too close to Shagasaurus and got caught out of position. But in comes the Tinker once again. This is now going to be that push on the tier 2 that we were looking for. I mean, you got the Forge Spirits to come in, but Tinker's just going to go into the tree line, get the March of the Machines ticking down, and you got Doom there as well. But the rockets will just keep flying, and the Dagon does finish off the ranged Necro unit, which is going to help out, but Shagasaurus takes the pure damage, and Sunstrike to drop. It does catch the Zeus, and he will take a fall.
Oh, that's what you get for killing Necrovox, man. But Necrovox still on cooldown too. He wants to go and gets the last one to Insidious as well. Where to follow? Chaos Meteor comes through. BKB is activated. Mystic Flare Desolate. I actually didn't get this BKB. Dracan, silenced up as well. Will fall down. One more right click. And now Fruit Stinker. He has arrived. And it's a massacre.
It is an absolute massacre. Bethel will just clean this up. Dagon, laser, rockets, that's all she wrote. And you saw the Chaos Meteor drop in the Deafening Blast. They both missed Insidious. He just stood there and then popped his BKB. He took a tiny bit of damage extra, but he just didn't get hurt by the Deafening Blast at all. It was an absolute nightmare for Kingdom. Sure, they bring down Zeus. They try to take a fight on the favor of not having Zeus on the battlefield, but it doesn't matter anyway. And Zeus could have just brought back the Thunder Gods.
Well, it's safe to say that Insidious Idol, they are the dominant force in this game at the moment. Aghanim Scepter finished on Ysera as well on the Venomancer now. Even more magic damage to come out. There is actually all the core heroes on Kingdom, they do have BKBs, but the Invoker last fight, did he use it when the initiation happened on Razor before or something? Because in that fight, I'm pretty sure he didn't have BKB anymore.
No, he didn't have the BKB, and that was something I was actually confused about. I figure he used it in the previous fight, because it should have been off on cooldown, it should have been up, otherwise, but...
Oh, Refresher or finished on Insidious C, man. Doom Refresher is done.
I was going to say, if they've got the Refresher on Doom now, that's going to be horrifying. I mean, they've already got the Shivas and the BKB. You'd then generally go for either a Heart or a Refresher, and in this case, he's just a utility Doom.
Well, double Shivas, double BKB if necessary, double Doom. Kingdom, how does one compete?
With great difficulty or Lincoln Spheres.
Well, Lincolns wouldn't be too bad, but they just aren't getting enough farm for it at the moment. Yes, Invoker is still rather farmed, but man, an Invoker is just not going to be enough by himself.
No, I don't think it will be. And now you get the Thunder God's Wrath drop, and well, what can we say? You delete the Wraith King. There's no way he can stand up against that. You've got Shagasaurus with a haste rune to boot, so they could look for more off the back of this one. And for Zeus, he's got 2,000 gold ready again, and for him, it's a case of, yeah, I'm just going to pick up an Aghanims next. I mean, you've got Thunder God's Wrath, extra damage with the Scepter is all well and good, and then on top of that, you've got the Veil of Discord. Zeus just becomes a damage engine, and this is what we saw before when Insidious Idols ran the Zeus. They protect the Zeus brings a large potential of damage, and then you've got the Doom front line to protect him.
Yeah, it's the first spells he casts are the most significant one, thanks to his passive, because it takes away a percentage of your current health, not max health. So, the first blast, if Kingdom don't have their BKBs activated by the end, they're just gonna lose 11% of their health straight out, plus of course whatever spell was used. If it's the Thunder God's Wrath, they're just gonna lose 11% plus another 350. This is just too huge to stand up to, and now E-Blade finished on Tinker.
That's going to make Zeus a very happy plumber, and now they're just going to jump in. Fruits does pop his blade mail, but doesn't return any damage. At this point, though, in comes Tootie, looking to grab Insidious, but he gets his BKB off. In comes the Poison Over. This is going to be absolutely huge. All the BKBs go up, but down goes the Wraith, and he'll reincarnate, and Chaos Meteor is going to drop. They're getting some good damage off the back of the slow. Fruits finishes off the Skywrath Mage. There's a gem on the deck, and equally Bethel is just wicked sick. He is annihilating everyone here. E-Blade, Dagon, E-Blade, Dagon. It never ends, and Draken will take a fall as well. That's a triple kill, godlike spree. The way of Bethel, and a double kill for Ysera. Buyback by the Invoker. He's trying to at least bring down Insidious C. But this was a 5-man team wipe. It's going to be a 6-man team wipe. You cannot stand against Bethel. That's an ultra kill.
Yeah, and actually Shagasaurus, he held on to his ultimate as well, almost until the end of the fight, just to make sure that the BKBs are actually worn off as well, so he wouldn't waste his ultimate at all. And just great patience overall, and Tinker, he was just a little bit too huge by the end of this game.
I'm inclined to completely agree with you there. It's that kind of advantage is just so hard to combat against. And advantage towards Insidious Idol going into the second game. And game number 2 should be a blast. I'm wondering if we're going to see a Zeus again.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping for one. I was hoping, of course, for more action as well, but the end made up for it. Tinker 10, 0, and 10. it's something you just can't allow to have happen. So maybe Kingdom in game 2 might ban it out, but we will see, guys, because that's where we're heading, and we all hope to see you there again. So, any last words, Blackadder?
Bring on game 2.
Okay, guys, that's it. Game 2 incoming.